This is the McLaren 650S. And if you think it looks similar to the P1, it's for good reason. You see, when you make one of the world's most powerful, fastest, and extreme cars, you learn a thing or two. And McLaren says that what it's learned, it's applied to the 12C, in effect creating the 650S. It still uses a lightweight carbon fiber tub and a dry sump flat plane 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8, but now it makes 641 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. It is, of course, more powerful and faster, but its array of clever electronic tricks has been improved too, from active aerodynamics and suspension control. McLaren says it's a better driver too, thanks to a new damper mounts and revised steering. Press the launch button, wait 2 seconds for boost to build, and then the 650S launches hard. Passing the quarter mile in 10.7 seconds at 134 miles an hour, it's nearly half a second faster than the 12C, and it falls into the select group of production cars that can run in the tens off the factory showroom. Braking was good, but less impressive. The 650S may have large carbon ceramic rotors, but the power they put through the Pirelli P0 Corsas was only able to produce a best 60-0 stop of 105 feet. Around the figure 8 though, the 650S ran a very respectable 23.1 second lap, with an average lateral G of 1.05.
First thing you should do if you ever find yourself in a McLaren 650S is find a straight bit of road, downshift a gear or two, and then just do that. Because the resulting acceleration will leave you with a pretty big dumb smile on your face. That 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 that revs to 8,500 RPM, it does terrific things with the power that it makes. I love that you can hear the turbos spool up too. In fact, that's the first thing when you hear when you get on the throttle is just that. We're working with quite a bit of power here, 641 horsepower, but the McLaren's very light too. So that power to weight makes it feel so great when you power out of corners. Now that low weight is the byproduct of having a construction that's basically built entirely out of carbon fiber, at least the tub is. The carbon fiber is high strength but also low weight, and that pays dividends throughout the car's performance. What this car has in place of any roll bars is basically a complex series of hydraulics that link the left side of the car to the right side of the car. Now what that means is the car's computer can control the roll stiffness. So when you want to go fast, you can crank it over to track, it tightens everything up. But when you just want to go cruise, commute, whatever, go to the local car show, you can put it in normal and it softens up. The result is a ride quality that feels really, really good. You don't get this kind of comfort out of this kind of car unless you have a system like this. This is obviously the Spider version of the McLaren 650S, and McLaren says there's basically no downside to taking the roof off. That's another advantage of the carbon fiber tub, is that it's so strong that when you don't need to add extra structural support when you remove the roof. Now let's just enjoy ourselves. You simply have to love mid-engine supercars or mid-engine super sports cars. They just feel so tight and together, especially when they're low weight, especially when they're this focused on performance. It's really satisfying to drive them, even at 8/10, right, like we are. All that combines into a car that's really nice to drive hard. Then you think of how nice it is to drive at low speeds, and how nice it is to drive on a mountain road. I guess next we'll have to find out how fast it is around a racetrack.
A little heat in the tires this morning at Willow Springs. They're Pirelli courses, a very aggressive compound. The McLarent feels light in the way that it's very quick responding to the wheel. Not much weight in the front. The weight distribution is actually the same as a Porsche 911, but the polar moment is a little different. Great aero stick through the high-speed corners. I'll tell you what, Willow Springs has got them too. The flat plane crank V8 has a very European feel. Smooth, revvy. .500 RPM, almost 650 horsepower. We're over 150. Down into turn one. Moves around a little bit in the brake zone. It's not instability, but you can kind of see how the car dives a bit and moves around a little bit. You can feel the brakes working hard. They are giant carbon fiber. The McLarent stops really well and wanders just a little bit in the process. Watch. Not like that. McLarent puts power down really well. It puts power down so well it even causes a little bit of a power understeer occasionally. McLarent has a very sporting feel, and by that I mean it'll loosen up when I let off the throttle. Just a little, not bad. You can see as I go to the brake, I straighten the wheel up a little bit because the front end works better. Got to lift off the throttle to get the car to bite at the front, come down to the apex. Must have a really good differential setup because the McLarent puts power down so well. Soft rev limiter, about 8,500 RPM. I can feel that arrow stick the tail here down through turn 8. Just a little bit of brake for 9, set her up wide, eyes in. Got to lift to get the nose down. I find the 650S to be a real step forward from the original MP412C that we drove in Motor Trend's Best Driver's Car a few years ago.
Though it's extremely fast on the track, it's the way the 650S behaved on the road that kept impressing us. From its remarkably smooth ride to the incredible power to the great steering feel and response, not to mention the amount of theater from the turbos spooling up in that moving rear wing, there's something satisfying about a supercar that's as potent as this one, but also as civilized. It's a remarkable technical accomplishment, but that's just what you'd expect from McLarent.
Everything's better when you're topless. This is a good time to drive. Top down, cool weather, loud car, activate sport. This thing doesn't have heated seats.
Got 2 more cars to do though.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to oh man, I've been up since 2 o'clock in the morning.
For what? Just
Like,
couldn't go to sleep?
I was going my body was doing the hot and cold flashes thing. So you'd bundle myself up because I'm so cold and then wake up just in a pool of sweat.